we're going to start our perspective, one point perspective room. I'm going to do it on a white sheet of paper. You could be using black. If you're using black, you're still going to do the same thing, and you're going to draw super light so that you can see it, but you're going to be able to erase it later. So the first thing you're going to do is, if you have a straight edge that's long enough to go from one corner to one corner, great. If not, you're going to take a ruler. You're going to make sure that you go from one corner to one corner. You have to be at the corners. I don't know if you could see it here. You have to be at the corner, and you have to go all the way to the other corner. It can't be slightly off, okay? Make a light line, and then do the same thing on the other side, corner to corner. Make sure you hold the ruler in place, or the straight edge in place, and slide your pencil along the edge. So you will have, you probably can't see it on mine, but you should be able to see it on yours, just super light. Now you're going to put in the back wall. So I'm going to make my back wall, in the center. That's your focal point. That's your vanishing point or your focal point. That's where everything disappears to, kind of like on railroad tracks. Everything goes all the way back to that point in the distance because that's your horizon line. Okay, so now we're going to put in our back wall. I'm going to have my back wall come to about here. Well, I can't just draw it in because it won't necessarily be parallel, and it needs to be parallel. So I'm going to take a flat edge. Here's a flat edge. This is flat. This is evenly cut, so it's not crooked. And I'm going to line it up along my paper so the edges are lined up together. They're not like this. They're actually lined up like that. And I am going to draw in my first line. That's the bottom of my back wall. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come to, there's the end where my diagonal line and the line I just made intersect. So I'm going to come to that dot. I'm going to put in, whoops, I don't need to go all the way here. I just need to go to the end to where this line is. So now I have the side of my back wall. Now I need to go across. So again, I'm going to start at that point, and I'm going to line up the edge of my my flat edge along the flat edge of my paper. Slide it up. Make sure everything's lined up. This is even. This is straight up and down, and I'm going to make a line. And all my lines, if I'm doing it correctly and everything's straight and even, should all line up to make a box right in the center. So I now have the start of my room. This is where I'm going to start erasing things. I'm going to put in there's the start of my room. Except now I want to put in my floor. So all the lines, I'm going to show you what it looks like because I started it on the black side. So this is it on the black side. I used a white pencil after I drew everything in, and I'm going to do the same thing, but with black on this side, with black lines. So everything has to go back, remember, to that point. And I want my checkerboards to be somewhat even. So I'm going to measure it. Mine's 10 inches. So I'm just going to make, I'm going to make them every 2. So I'm just going to mark it so they're even. Now, from each of those points, I need to, and they should be actually at the edge of my paper. I'm going to have to make lines that go back to my vanishing point. But I don't want the lines in the back wall. I only want them staying on the floor. So there's one. I'm going to put my straight edge up against the focal point, the vanishing point. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go to that last dot. So now I have floorboards, but I want to make it a checkerboard. So I'm going to decide how many rows back do I want. I want 3. I'm going to do 1 there, 1 there, maybe I'll make 4, 1 there. So this is my wall. This is not my floor. So my line isn't going to come all the way across into my wall. But if I wanted to, so that I know I'm doing it right, I line up my straight edge so it's flat against my paper. I find out where that dot is. And maybe I make a line going straight across. However, I'm going to have to erase it from there. So it's up to you. If you feel that you can do it without getting it on the wall, you don't have to put it there. I'm also going to do it to save time with just my marker. You're probably going to do it in pencil first. You have to make sure that that this is parallel to this, and to this, because these are all the lines that are horizontal. And then I'm going to go to this one and do the same thing. So there's my checkerboard floor. Now I'm going to put my windows in. Again, all the lines that go back into space all have to go back to that vanishing point. So if my window is going to be, let's say I'm going to make my window, I want my window to come to about here, and I want it to be about that high. I want it to be from there to there. So let's see. I'm going to start with a pencil. I'm going to draw in that line so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So if you see, the line went from the vanishing point through where I want the edge of my window to be, and I just extended it up because I know I'm going to erase stuff. So now that I have these diagonal lines going in, now I can connect. Now I can make the sides of my window. And the only way to make sure that these lines are straight and parallel is to line up your straight edge along the edge of either the top or the bottom of your paper. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Now I have it all drawn in with pencil. You can, if you feel confident enough, just trace over the lines you made. And erase everything else. You also want to get rid of the lines that are on your back wall because you don't need them. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this wall. There's my vanishing point. This window I'm going to make bigger. So I'm going to only have a little bit of floor space, I think. So wow, you could see I really got rid of most of my wall. This is gonna be mostly window. Remember, everything needs to be perpendicular, parallel, straight. Now, if you could see, this actually isn't long enough. So I'm gonna have to use my ruler. Line it up. And the one other part I'm going to do is I'm going to make my ceiling. So I want my ceiling to be open, which I'm going to do the same thing. Anything that goes back in space has to go back to that one vanishing point. Anything that's horizontal has to be parallel to the top and the bottom. Anything that's vertical, there's not going to be any vertical lines on the ceiling, has to be parallel to the sides. Now I can erase all my pencil lines because I don't need them anymore. So this is if my board is white. This is if my board is black. I actually have not finished putting in my windows.